welcome back to my kitchen. My name's Shannon, and tonight I'm going to be making a peanut butter and chocolate swirled peanut butter ice cream. If you follow the Trim Healthy Mama way of eating, this is an S recipe, but it's also keto friendly too, so keep that in mind. Alright, the base of the ice cream calls for 2 cups of cream and 1 cup of half and half. But if you want to make it dairy free, go with 2 cups of coconut cream and either 1 cup of cashew milk, almond milk, or coconut milk. I personally use cashew milk all the time and it turns out great. Then you're going to want to put in 1/3 cup of defatted peanut flour, 1 tablespoon of real vanilla, 3 tablespoons of super sweet, and 2 whole eggs. Now, my Vitamix mixer has a hot soup setting, so when I put all of the base ingredients in here, it'll cook it for 7 minutes. So your eggs will no longer be raw. So don't worry about that. You're not eating raw eggs here. So you want to go ahead and put all the base ingredients into the machine and turn it on. Let it run for 7 minutes. And while it's doing that, I like to mix together the swirl ingredients. I use 1/4 to 1/3 cup of peanut butter. Now, it depends on how much you like peanut butter. I love peanut butter, so I use the 1/3. But if you like it a little less peanut buttery, go with 1/4 cup. And I also use 1.5 bars of 85% dark chocolate. Now, that equals out to be about 1.5 ounces if you use a whole bar instead of the little individually packaged ones. Now, I'm planning to eat this right now as soon as it's done, so I'm not going to put anything in it to keep it soft when scooping out of the freezer. But if you plan to make it ahead of time and store it in your freezer, you're going to want to use something like a vegetable glycerin to keep it soft. Now, for this recipe, I would suggest 1 tablespoon. You can find this in the baking aisle at most stores that have like the little fancy icing colors and all of the sprinkles and things like that. It's much smaller, and I found this one on Amazon. They were made from the same company, so I personally called them and asked the difference, and they said it's the wrapper. So this one is fine for food. It actually says it comes from the brand Now Foods, so it is the same exact one that you would get in the icing department, and it is way cheaper. So look this one up on Amazon instead. I'll put a link to it below. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and pour in the heavy whipping cream. And I'm going to put in the half and half. To keep down on my mess, when I crack my eggs, I like to put them in the empty containers that I poured the liquids out of. These are from my chickens, and they have nice dark yolks, so they'll enhance the color of the ice cream. All right, now measure out the vanilla. I use 1 tablespoon, and the flavor is very strong. If you wanted to leave out the peanut flour, you could have a vanilla base, or if you wanted to add 1/3 cup of cocoa powder instead of 1/3 cup of peanut flour, you'd have a chocolate base. It would work all 3 ways, and I have made it all 3 ways, and it tastes great all 3 ways. So right now I have in the base of all the ingredients. Now again, remember, if you're going to put it in the freezer and wait to eat it later, now is when you're going to add in the vegetable glycerin. I almost forgot to add in the peanut flour. I know the size of my scoop, so I do know that it is 3 scoops to equal the 1/3 of a cup. Okay, and I actually almost forgot to put in the sweetener. Now my scoop is 4 tablespoons, so I just put in one that's about 3/4 of the way full. Saves me from having to wash a whole lot of measuring spoons. All right, now, before I start this, I'm gonna show you what I do for the swirl on the inside. And while it is mixing, I will go ahead and melt down the swirl as well. I'll use, like I said, 1/4 of a cup to 1/3 of a cup of peanut butter. Now I went ahead and pre-measured that, and this is a new jar. You can see the oil. I have a trick for mixing that in too. I poke a hole in one of the lids and I keep it in my drawer. Then I put the mixing blade into a mixer, just a regular dough hook, and put it through the hole of the lid. Put the lid on, turn on the mixing blade, and it will stir up the peanut butter. But make sure to hold your jar really well or it'll flip out of your hand. Then once you're done, you can go ahead and take off the mixing blade and store this in your fridge. It may need stirred with a spoon every once in a while after that, but it stays together pretty well. This one's fresh, so I haven't stirred it a bit. And also, I'll use the 1.5 bars of the dark chocolate. All right, so go ahead and turn it on to the hot soup and go ahead and start. All right, now the mixer is done and I have melted the swirl. The next thing you're going to want to do is taste your base, because if it is not sweet enough, you can't add more sweetener later, but you want to make sure it's perfect before you do anything else to it. It's really good. That is the perfect amount for the ice cream. Now, if you are patient and you don't mind waiting for your base to cool, leave it on the counter until it's at room temperature, and then we'll put it into the ice cream machine. But I'm not patient, so I want to show you this trick. You pour it into a metal bowl. You can use a glass bowl too, but I found that metal just works faster. I'm going to go ahead, grab an extra spatula here. Make sure you get it all out. Right-handed, I need to switch. All right, get all of that out. Once it's in the metal bowl, it's going to start cooling faster. But I'm not that patient either. So what I do is I have an ice bath waiting. I've just got a bowl that is bigger than the one I put it in, filled with water and ice cubes. Now, the trick is to put the ice cubes in the bowl first, and then when you put the water in, swirl the ice cubes, or else they're gonna congeal into a big mass. So just make sure that you're swirling the ice as you add the ice water. Then just go ahead and put one bowl into the other. And I like to give it a swirl every now and then. Lift it up and down, get it seated down in there as deep as you can go without causing your water to come out. And wait about 15 minutes, testing it every once in a while to see when it's cool. If you're able to test with a candy thermometer or something like that, you're gonna wanna get it to about 90 degrees. So I'm gonna go ahead and set mine up, and when we hit that temperature, I will show you what to do after that. And the ice water really works fast because it was at 120 and it's already down to 109. So, well, it's jumping around. So I'm gonna use my spatula to mix it. And you'll see that the temperature in the thermometer really does jump around. It's because there are hot spots in the liquid, and you wanna make sure to keep it all one temperature, or get it to all one temperature. And this is tempering it, because if you put it straight into your ice cream machine, the inside piece that's frozen will fall very quickly. I've had that happen once. I was making ice cream for friends when they came over, and I made 2 batches. The first batch worked out great, but the second batch didn't because the base was already starting to thaw. So when I put in the hot mixture, because I didn't have patience, I didn't want to wait. Everyone was waiting for the ice cream. When I went ahead and put in the hot liquid into the base that was already partially thawed, the ice cream just never set up. My best friend took it home with her and put it in the freezer, and she ate it later, said it was fantastic and it scooped right and everything like that. So it'll work. We just didn't have as much ice cream at dinner. All right, I'm at 92 degrees. So 91, 90. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and get my machine. We're below 90. I'm gonna get my machine set up and show you how to put it in. Okay, so I got the insert out of the freezer, and you wanna keep it in as long as possible. Go ahead and put that into the machine and put the mixing paddle blade in next. After that, go ahead and pop on the lid. I like to use this Cuisinart ice cream maker, but you can use whatever you like. Now, for this, make sure you have a towel and wipe the water off before you pour it in. That way, there's no water droplets that make their way into the ice cream. Turn it on before you pour. If you forget, that's okay too. And go ahead and pour it in. It's gonna mix for about 20 minutes, and you're gonna add in your swirl about 10 to 15 minutes in. It really depends on your ice cream maker and how cold your insert was. If it was very cold, 10 minutes. If you got it out and left it on the counter for a few minutes, 15. Make sure you scrape down the sides and get every bit of the ice cream base out. All right. Put that in. And now you wait about 15 minutes to put in the swirl. And after that, maybe 5 or 7 more, and it's done. All right, now it's been mixing for about 15 minutes, so it's time to add in the peanut butter chocolate swirl. And since I'm cooking away from the stove right now, mine got a little bit hard, so I went over while this was mixing onto my stovetop and warmed it back up so that it was creamy and smooth again. So I'm gonna add it back in, and I turned off the machine so that it wasn't loud, but I'm gonna go ahead and turn it back on when mixing in the swirl so that it incorporates fully. Add it a little bit at a time so that you don't get it all in one place. You're gonna wait for it to mix in just a little bit before you add in more. Now the ice cream is so cold that it's gonna cause the chocolate peanut butter mixture to turn into a really quick, really thin, hard piece. Now it's not really hard because the oil and the peanut butter will keep it soft, but it is solid. Do a little bit at a time. You don't want to warm up the ice cream too fast either. You want to make sure that you do it slowly so that it doesn't melt. as much of the chocolate as possible, but what you don't get out, that's okay. I'm gonna serve my ice cream with that spatula and the rest will just come off then. So you're gonna let it mix another 5 to 7 minutes depending on how hard you want your ice cream. It may take longer now because you've added in the hot chocolate as well. So let this mix, and when it reaches the texture that you want to eat it at, it's done. All right, well, the ice cream is at the consistency that I like it, and I'll show you what I mean. It's starting to rise up out of the center of the well, and that is soft serve. I should probably wait a little longer, but I kind of can't. I want to have some now. So I'll serve it up, and you'll see what I mean. It's a little too soft. I should wait, but I want to try it now, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. It tastes just like United Dairy Farmers peanut butter chocolate swirl. And even my skeptical 11-year-old said that he couldn't tell that it didn't have sugar in it. He thought I'd bought it at the grocery store. So I hope you make this recipe and love it just as much as we do. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel and check back for more great videos. See you next time.